Okay, it would be menudo, which is a soup where the main part, like the main meat in the soup, is cow intestine. It's really gross, doesn't even look like meat. And they also have pata, or like hoof of a cow in there, and there's nothing there except cartilage, and the idea is eat the cartilage off of the meat. Yeah, we met a really crazy guy who knew a lot about the church. Like, he was quoting the Pearl of Great Price and other things to us, but he had told us about all the times when he had met the Savior, and he knew how many kids Christ had, and he had also been with John the Beloved, and he believed that there were like several alien races that were living on the earth, and that the government knew all about it, but they wouldn't like tell us to keep us afraid, or to keep us from getting afraid. And he was crazy. It was one of those situations where as soon as we got there, we just wanted to leave, but like we couldn't get a word in edgewise because he just kept on telling us. And then we didn't want to leave because we found out how crazy and fun it was. Yeah. I felt the Spirit strongly when I worked with an investigator. I got to work with her for over 6 months, and I always thought she was going to get baptized from the very beginning, and then she kept on saying no to the invitation, and I wasn't ever sure why. But long story short, this isn't really story time, but she ended up getting baptized after I'd worked with her for over 6 months. And just being at her baptism was a very spiritual experience. Just the love you feel for someone after putting everything you have for that person for that long. It was just incredible to feel the Lord's love for her, and to feel your own love for that person, to see them make such an important step in their life. Definitely brought the Spirit. Yeah, in my second transfer, I was relating to an investigator how at another investigator's house, we were cutting wood for them to get ready for the coming winter. And instead of saying winter, which is invierno, I said infierno, which means hell. And so I said that we were cutting wood to like get ready to stoke the fire for hell. So. Probably the greatest lesson I learned was that the atonement is real. I think I'll talk about that more when I talk about hard stuff. I learned the atonement is real, and probably the second greatest thing I learned was to love people, and just what a difference everything about life is different when you love those that are around you. It's completely different. For me, it was just people skills. I was really shy. I'm still not great at it. I get shy around people. I'm like clumsy. I stumble with my words. But for my mission, I had to, and I had the opportunity to lead out in teaching and lead out in contacting for a lot of my mission. And I learned to talk with people and to bring up awkward subjects and to just make the most of everything. Probably just rain for 6 months, like just rain and clouds for over 6 months. It snowed twice on my mission, and it was cold. It was like 5 degrees the next day, but that was like 2 days long, and then it was warm again. So I don't know. It's probably more extreme was how long it rained, just like 6 months straight. It's crazy. The hardest thing for me was when I felt like I had really messed up, and I felt like some choices I had made had influenced an investigator's decision to stop investigating the gospel. And there's like a couple very specific things that I felt like the Spirit had prompted me to do or not do that I hadn't listened to. So that was really hard because all of a sudden I felt like I had the weight of a soul on my shoulders. And like, how do you go on from there? How can you live with yourself? How can you do anything knowing that you were a negative influence on someone's life in such a profound way? But like I said just a couple seconds ago, it was then that I really learned how important the atonement is. And I really learned that even for pretty major mistakes that you can be forgiven, and that you can keep going and actually accomplish a whole lot of good despite whatever you've done wrong in the past. And that is what I would say is the most life-changing experience I had. Learning about that. So yeah, the hardest thing was making mistakes that really mattered and hurt people around you. I would say study, preach my gospel, know that back and forth, and then just be a missionary now. If you don't have a testimony, gain one. If you do have a testimony, then become converted and learn to live the gospel and to obey all the commandments. Get to work, find something to do to be productive. If there's nothing going on, that's the worst, because you're so used to doing so many things. So whether it's school or just a normal job, find something to do to be productive. I would say do right and keep in contact with as many missionaries and investigators and converts and members as you can. Don't let those relationships die. And yeah, I'd say that's pretty much it, actually, as far as my advice. It's good. Life after the mission is good. You've learned a lot, and so now you can put it in practice.